Record of Ragnarok has been a very fun series for me so far, and with the way these latest chapters are going, it's honestly a great time to catch up. The setting, the fights, the character interactions all leave me wanting more, and the future of the series is honestly looking really bright. This video will contain a bit of spoilers, but I'll definitely avoid talking about who wins the fights, so it'll still be a surprise to those who don't know already. So, Record of Ragnarok. Let's talk about it. Everybody get your fucking hands up. So how about we start with the premise and history of the series? The series starts off with the gods being gathered in Valhalla and they're discussing what to do with the humans since the humans are getting too annoying. Most of them come to the conclusion that humans should be eradicated, and then the MC, Brunhild, has an elaborate scheme that kind of tricks them into accepting to fight in a tournament that will decide humanity's survival or destruction. Brunhild is a Valkyrie, who are half gods and half humans, but they do tend to side with the humans more than they do the gods. Valkyrie can become holy weapons, and in this story specifically, the main reason why gods are above humans in the first place is because of these holy weapons. So, to give humanity a fair chance and to make it actually even, Brunhild's Valkyrie sisters become holy weapons and are given to the best humans humanity has to offer. So, with the best of humanity having holy weapons and gods having holy weapons, it actually brings humans and gods to the same level in the tournament. Now, with all that settled, we have a first to 7 wins, 13 versus 13 matchup between the gods and the humans. If the humans win, they get to stay, and if the gods win, the humans go extinct. Now let's get to why you should check the series out. To start off, this is primarily a fighting-based series or a meathead manga, like people like to call it. So there's not really a big overarching goal or plot point besides just winning the tournament so humans can continue to exist. However, in order to not make the series become repetitive and stale, Fukui, the mangaka, does a lot of improvements and little tricks that keep the reader engaged and wanting more as the story goes on. Now let's start with the main element of the series, the fights. Record of Ragnarok does a great job in providing flashy techniques, raw panels, and overall just a good flow in his choreography, which all help keep the fights entertaining and engaging. He also has very cool entrances and closers for before and after the battle, and they all differ based on what type of character is in the ring at the time. It's a good way to kind of get you hyped for the match, and it makes the winners look better, and it makes the loss a bit more impactful. He also diversifies the fighting styles of the characters, so you can get a good range of fights from hand-to-hand combat or the use of many different kind of weapons clashing with each other. And also you can just get special abilities or power-ups that the character has due to their own specific unique moveset. Of course, only have characters fight back to back to back to back to back can quite easily get stale, but he does a few little tricks that helps keep it fresh and keeps the reader's interest. And one of the big ones is the usage of the crowd. The crowd reactions are honestly an important part of the series and gets quite overlooked since they're just, well, the crowd. The crowd helps set the tone of the fight, and they basically represent the readers or just your average person. They all react in ways a normal person would react, given whatever context they're thrown in. What I mean by this is how they get hyped when they win, or depressed when they lose because they're just a step closer to extinction now. They get angry at villainous characters, even if they're on their side, like Jack the Ripper, for example. And they can get inspired or believe in a character, like through Adam. So with the crowd acting so different and unique based on many different circumstances, it's fun to see how they kind of change their tone throughout a match. They might start off feeling one emotion, then because of how the match is going, they might end up feeling a whole bunch of different emotions. So, and it almost mirrors how you will feel too. So it's just cool to see the crowd just kind of react to stuff because it feels like you're in a stadium yourself and then you're kind of watching the fight. There's also a lot of key figures he just throws in the crowd sometimes, like Shakespeare or some family members and friends of a given human representative. Seeing them react to a loss or a win makes it feel a lot more impactful than it's usually going to be without them. This makes things a bit more interesting because the crowd isn't just a robotic, monotone group of people that react the same exact way every time. But instead, they all feel like a real, genuine crowd that just wants the human representatives to win so they can see tomorrow. The gods, of course, have their own side who reacts to matches based on their individual personality. Since the gods are very popular characters in the first place, it's pretty cool just seeing how Odin or Hermes just reacts to current events in general. If you're a fan of just certain gods, it's just fun to see them just interact, talk, and just be themselves while watching a bunch of grown men scrap. Another big improvement I enjoy is just the character writing over time. The first match of Liu Bo versus Thor felt very clear cut and focused on just the fight itself, and it didn't really make me feel a connection with the characters. But as time went on, the characters just got more entertaining, and the backstories got a bit more powerful, which of course made me like the consecutive characters more and more as the series went on. He also started giving characters a lot more screen time outside of the matches, so knowing that your favorite character doesn't just disappear from the story when they win is a plus when it comes to making the readers want to get attached to them more. But also, knowing that characters do get taken out of the story when they lose leads us to the next little trick Fukui did to improve the story, which is to add proper stakes. Now, a fantasy fighting series like this that deals with divine gods and historical figures from the past brings into question how the stakes will feel like and what did the characters suffer for losing besides just making the other team closer to their goal. What Fukui did was he turned the setting of reincarnation into a proper life or death battle by making the fight in the ring itself a battle of the souls. So when you lose, you die and never reincarnate. This means that any god that dies is just never existing again, and of course, any human that dies would never reincarnate either. Now, this isn't really into place to make the readers cry because their favorite character that was just here for less than a volume died, but it's more so to make the characters themselves feel like they're backed into a corner when they fight, since reincarnation being off the table will make the character a lot more scared and desperate to win, and then that makes their determination to win really intense since their lives are on the line. This leads us to some very good character and crowd interactions when a fan favorite dies, or when a friend or family member of the now deceased representative has to witness the death of their loved ones right in front of them. It's very emotional and honestly leads to some pretty good panels and scenes of them just reacting to deaths or even wins in general. As I mentioned earlier, the characters that win don't just disappear from the story. So that outside of the match interactions allows us to see how the gods interact with humans that killed their fellow gods before. So it's interesting to see just how those reactions go because of course they'll be different before like chapter 1 versus after like a human beats a god. Another thing Fukui does to keep matches interesting is the creativity of the abilities of the characters and their Valkyrie weapons. Fukui uses the Valkyrie weapons to match the moveset of his owner. Looking at the list of people participating in the tournament, I was very confused on how certain characters would fight, because they're not like a clear frontal attacking warrior type of character. But after seeing how smart and tricky Fukui is in using these Valkyrie weapons to aid a unique strength of a character, I'm actually very confident that a lot of these characters I doubted before will actually end up very good. Jack the Ripper was a great example of Fukui's creativity with these weapons because I was very surprised with the direction he went with how his Valkyrie worked. Of course, you're gonna have to read yourself to find out what it does, but it really opened up a lot of possibilities for what these other Valkyries can do in the future when it comes to these other very unorthodox characters or fighters. And the last major addition of note he brought into the story were the stages. The first two matches took place in the normal ring, and I was wondering if every match is just gonna be in that ring, like just a normal ring with no kind of twist to it. But in the third match, he did introduce water because of Poseidon participating in the match. The water complemented Poseidon a lot, and it also led Kojiro having some cool moments. Having the water there led to some cool scenes, and it was honestly refreshing to get a change of scenery. It wasn't a big change, but it was still refreshing because the panels were different and the fight went a different way because of the water just being there. So I really enjoyed that. And on top of that, he completely flipped the script with match 4 when he made the stage London, since Jack the Ripper was participating. This was honestly crazy and a very smart decision in hindsight, because making it London opens up a lot of possibilities with where else we could possibly go for these other characters. Because now I'm looking at these other matchups and I'm like, if he does switch the stage that drastically again, we can get some very interesting environments for these fights, especially if characters that have iconic places attached to their identity, like Hades. So all in all, I think it's a great time to catch up to the series. You know, simple series, straightforward. It does its thing and it keeps improving on itself. And right now, Buddha's looking like he's about to throw some hands. And there's an interesting twist surrounding him too. So you might want to catch up to check that out. And there's about 9 volumes worth of content around right now. So there's a good stack for you to read. And the series is on a pretty good incline in my opinion. I also believe that by the time we're in the last few matches, the series would have morphed into something unprecedented when we compare it to the first few matches. Because the matches we're going to get way down the line is probably going to be insane. And Focus has pretty much just been shown to improve over time, so I have no doubt about that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And don't forget to hit that notification bell as to not miss any of my uploads. Thanks again, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.